All right, we are now live according to YouTube and Zoom. Yep. Let me see
Awesome.
if I can pull that up real quick and see if I can. Okay. All right. So we have somebody saying that they can hear us, so we are officially live. It's usually my only way I know is somebody has got to let me know. Or we'll just look like a couple
Going live.
wackadoodles. All right. So today we have Shelly Dax on the show. Thank you, Shelly, for being here again. I think this was our third try. I had
That's
some
okay.
problems a few weeks, oh gosh, a couple months ago, and then we had technical difficulties. And here we are for the third time, but we're getting it
Woot
done.
woot.
We're
Yeah.
getting it done. So, Shelly, can you tell us who you are, a little about yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can do that. My name is Shelly Dax, and I am a tattooer. Yes, I am. And an artist and a writer, and I also own a tattoo school. So, boo hiss. I know a lot of people think that's a terrible thing, but I'm in Oregon, and that's something that we have to do here. And just an all around Renaissance girl. That's me. I have so many things I love to do. So,
Well, Shelly, if you could, I think what one of the coolest things for me though is once you realize how many different places people come from and how they get into tattooing. So I thought maybe we could start this off. If you could just tell us how you got into tattooing.
okay. Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, actually, it's funny because I actually went for the summer. I was teaching a camp because I've done theater for years, and so I was teaching in upstate New York. I was the director of the theater camp there, and when while I was gone, my partner and my daughter were home, and they told me, "Guess what? We got tattooed." And of course, my daughter was only 17 at the time. But anyways, so I was like, "Oh, wait!" And they were all
Yay.
so excited to show it to me when I got home, and when I got home, of course, when I saw them, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they were horrible. They were terrible tattoos." And so the first thing I thought was, if I knew how to do that, I could fix those. So literally, that's the first time it ever came into my mind, really, other than just liking tattoos and stuff for years. But then I started looking into it, and I started like trying to read up on it and read magazines and all this stuff. And of course, then I realized, oh gosh, you have to go to tattoo school? Like, what is that?
Wait,
Right. So
there's more
then,
to this, huh?
yeah. Well, and so my whole life, I've always been able to look at something and kind of replicate it. Being an artist from a young age, drawings and sculpting. And I used to do mosaic tile and paint ceramics and so many things.
Wow.
And if I ever went to like an art show or something, I would say, "Oh, I could do that," and just go to the library, the olden days, right? Go to the library and get a book
Get a book.
and
What?
teach myself how to do it. And so when I thought about tattooing at the time, ignorantly, I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just teach myself how to do this." Probably tons of people think the same thing, right?
Oh yeah.
And then as soon as I started, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is way harder than anything I've ever tried." So of course, then realizing this is a steep learning curve and I need some help, and then I started really looking into like, oh, what do I do? And it's illegal to tattoo anyway where I live without a license. So
Mm.
so then I found out you have to go to tattoo school. And so that's what I decided to do, which was a very strange thing at the time because I was actually in school at the University of Oregon training to be an arts administrator because I kind of at the time thought arts administration was really the only way I could make money and still stay in the arts, right?
Right. Right.
So, people I was always a very organized person and I'd run theater troupes and done a lot of stuff within the theater realm. And when I told people that I was going to drop out of school and go to tattoo school, they thought I was absolutely nuts.
So you didn't have the overwhelming support that one would hope
No,
for. Oh,
not
darn.
at all. Not at all. Which is funny because so many of the people I work with, they, obviously their parents are always really worried and that kind of thing too. It's kind of a
Right.
common theme when you tell your
Right.
parents, I'm going to go to tattoo school or I'm going to become a tattooer.
Yes.
They worry.
Yes. They kind of, yes. I think there's that moment they're like, oh gosh, where do we go wrong? what
Yes.
happened here? Like he was such a good. Yes, go on. Don't worry, I'll get off
No,
on a
but
tangent.
well, I mean, of course, because people assume that it's going to be this awful working environment, and it's only whatever, tattoos are for bikers and whores, whatever. But of course now things are changing. So, but there is still, I mean, I have to say, I wrote a blog about this too. There is reason to worry a little bit in some cases. It is kind of a harsh place sometimes.
Yes.
So yeah, but anyway, that's how I got started, and I went to tattoo school, and I came out of tattoo school, and it was, even though it was a tattoo school in Oregon, it wasn't that great. It was more when they were first starting, so it was still pretty much like an old school apprenticeship. And
Okay.
yeah, so there were still yeah, some people there that weren't very cool. Yeah, it was still a really hard experience.
And how long was that? Even at the time you went?
It was almost 15 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah,
15 years
yeah.
ago. And how long was the school itself?
I think it was 6 months or 8 months. I can't honestly remember that part.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't terribly long. And in Oregon, it's, when you go to tattoo school, it's basically more like a beginning training uh, to prepare you to get into the industry and then to go take the test at the state. So it's a basic training.
Okay. And I think that's what's difficult for some states is we don't have the school, but there in Oregon, it's actually mandated, correct? Like you have to go to
Yes.
the school. That's step one. After step one, now you said there's a test you have to take. Now, is that
Mhm.
like you have to train with a mentor maybe or in a shop and maybe build up the skills for the test? Or is this just like a
Mm-mm.
sanitary sort of test?
Well, it's the state requires you to take the test to get licensed.
Okay.
And not like, they're not testing you on your ability to tattoo. They're really interested in your ability to be safe,
Right.
and
Right.
a little bit on other subjects, but mostly not. A little bit on tattoo machines, a little bit on, but it's all written. It's
Okay.
on. So no, they don't expect that. But really what we prep our students for is the idea that this is an entry level training to get your license and then go and work at a shop and still continue being mentored by someone, of
Okay.
course, because as it takes three,
Yeah.
4 years to really get situated.
Right, right. And even then, I think you start to scratch the surface of what is real in
Absolutely.
tattooing. There's moments where you think you're like, oh, I get it. No. And you realize that you don't know much at all. Uh, so I
Hey, that
totally,
just happened to me.
I, to- I totally, understand how you leave there with enough. I guess the question what I'm getting at would be for the artist who's taken on these people, it almost seems like it would be kind of nice almost because it's like, that they know this, they know that they know this, that they have. So you're not bringing somebody in and you have to totally teach them everything. They've spent
Yes.
6, 7, 8 months. They've learned what we'd consider some basic fundamentals. And now you can really bring them in a short period of time, potentially have them, like working, if you will.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And the truth is, I mean, over the years that I've been doing this, I'm surprised more and more and more by the fact that so many students come in when they already have a lot of art training. They get up to speed much faster than anybody that doesn't. So there's that aspect. But anyway, yes, the goal is to make it so that when they go into the shop, they already know everything about, well, everything about sanitation and safety. Absolutely. How to set up a tattoo or a station, how to tear it down. All of the safety stuff is number one
right.
with what we want them to know. So then there's that. But then all the basic stuff about machines and needles, just the basics. Of course,
Yeah.
we always tell our students, we will teach you what we know, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a million opinions on everything out in the world. But we're going to teach you what we know, and then of course let you go out there and sort out some other
Right.
things. But I remember when I first started, since I didn't really have anyone helping me, because when I left the tattoo school I went to, it was like, no way am I even speaking to those people again. And we can talk about why, later. But
Mm-hmm.
so I was kind of on my own starting out, which I know a lot of people have gone through the same thing. And so when you're like, oh, needles, carbon tip, blah, there's just so many choices. And then
Right.
over time, you start to find your tools that work the best for you. So with our students, it's always, here's like the average things most people use, here's a 5, 7,
Right.
9 liner, here, just use these. It's easy. Here's an easy set of inks to start with, you know, just to really get your feet under you first.
Right.
And then you can explore many more things. And of course, once they go work with another mentor, they're going to hear
Whole
everything
new
about
set of stuff.
machines and whatever their favorite inks
Right.
are. Yeah.
And that's great. That's something I feel like I really missed, is having that ability to be around more tattoo artists, because there's things that people learn from years ago that they don't even realize they're doing, that somebody else can pick up on.
Yeah.
And so much time and money saved by having that one-on-one communication with somebody, tell you like, no, don't waste your money there, don't do this. But when you were talking about the beginning aspects, I think that can take that can speed things up so much more. People learning from home, and that I understand a little bit more about the schooling and how it works. You got lots and lots of questions about the simple stuff of needles. And then when someone explains it to you and shows it to you in a class, you're like, okay, I get it, get it. But when you're all by yourself and you go to buy some needles for this machine that you have, and you're like, what? Round, curved? I thought they were all round, right? These are needles.
Right.
So there's a
Loose
lot.
and tight
Yeah,
and whatever. I know. Yeah.
exactly. It's a lot. So that is kind of cool, though, to think that in that same time frame, you're also getting all that information that you would have taken you a lot longer had you tried to do it on the internet or any other place like that. So it
Yeah,
is cool
absolutely.
because,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead. No, go ahead. See, I'll just start
That's-
ranting. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's cool. I was actually going to ask you. I didn't ever see in any of your videos. How did you learn? Did you just learn on your own then?
Oh, well, I had an apprenticeship. I got out of the Marine Corps. I was home for a little while, and I was doing some side work and looking to do some aircraft jobs out in Cleveland. But I really didn't want to do it. Like, it's like I knew that that's what I was doing. That's what I could do, and there was money to be made and all this. But I had finally felt like free a little bit, and I was like, what do I want to do? And this opportunity came along to go. Somebody was looking for an apprentice or whatnot. And I had known everything I wouldn't like in my brain. Everybody knows what an apprenticeship is.
Yeah.
Well, I had known what it was. I knew I needed to get one years ago. In the beginning of my Marine Corps career, I bought a kit. I still have it. I'm actually gonna make a video about it here in a couple
Ooh,
weeks.
fun.
Yeah, it's really special. And yeah, so I did some stuff at home. So at that point I was looking into apprenticeships, so I got a vibe of what they were. But anyhow, I got this one, and long story short, I was there 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. But I was in that shop maybe 2 days a week, maybe three. The rest was I was off working for them, doing something, whether it was like cutting wood or fixing stuff in the basements. It was just, I was just getting used and abused. But
Yeah.
I just put up with it as long as I could, because I was like, you know what? No, I've been here for 6, 7 months, whatever. I got to keep doing this. Like, I made a decision. All those people thought I was crazy that we talked about. So I was like, oh God, no,
I know.
I gotta do this. Like, I just gave up all these great jobs for this.
Yeah. Free labor, basically.
Yeah. And a promise of 30% of when I'm signed on, like 30%.
Someday.
This is horrible. Anyhow, so I did. After that, I had some family problems. Kids got pretty ill with some stuff there, and so I had to leave regardless. And believe me, if I could have stuck it out, I would have. But I felt like this was my time. I needed to go, and I thought I was going to give it up. But instead, I just kind of got online and saw what was out there. Like, I'd wasted all this time. Like, what can I do? So I realized that once you kind of take the cuffs off people, sometimes you'll figure it out. I think if you left somebody in a room all by themselves with a tattoo machine and a needle, they'll figure out all these techniques that we know and that you use all the time. You just figure it out, because it's just a skill. It's no different from going to like a plumbing school. There's skills and different things like that. So anyhow, that's kind of how my thing was. And as I went along, I just started kind of sharing it, I guess, with the world, in the form of YouTube videos, just what I had learned, or because I realized there just wasn't really much out there.
Yeah.
There was some good stuff, but it just wasn't, specific to what I thought there should be. So
yeah. Anyhow. And it's really interesting listening to your story, because of course I've heard a lot of people tell very similar stories. And I feel like, as I said earlier, when a student comes to me and has a lot of art experience already, and then we get them up to speed as fast, as fast as we can, we're
Right.
not wasting. I mean, sure, they have to do a little bit of chores or something, but we're not making them clean the windows and scrub the floors with a toothbrush or whatever, all the things.
Right.
We're literally, they are there to learn how to tattoo. And I am amazed at how fast people pick things up when you just give them here's all the information. Here's your chance to practice. We're going to, be right there to supervise you and correct everything, and it wasn't. And when I'm with my students, most of the time I'm not tattooing myself unless I'm showing them something, but I'm
Right.
watching them take the machine and, show them things and all of that. So it literally is this strange idea to me that an apprenticeship needs to last, a year to 7 years, whatever, all the, and then
Right.
for me, it's true that it's just free labor. It's free labor.
It really,
and
really
and
is.
people get abused. You get taken advantage of. And so that kind of leads me to what I was telling you earlier, is that my heart is definitely now for like those people, particularly women. I really feel like women get
Right.
taken advantage of a bit more, who are young, and then they go to to a mentor with this idea of apprenticeship, thinking, this person is so much higher up than me. They're like a celebrity, they're whatever. And they'll do anything they say
Right.
because
Right.
they want so badly to be an artist. They want a tattoo.
Yeah.
So in my mind, so that's what really drives me right now, is to help change that.
Yeah.
And
And
I
you and
love,
yep.
go ahead.
Oh no, no, I sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I love that that how you explained it though, how they're like they put this, and you almost can't blame the people who are in these positions, to go to find these mentors, they don't have many options. Like that's their option. You go work for that guy who's promises you this, that, and the other, and you get stuck doing whatever they want you to do a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it, I don't know. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I had a thought
No,
that
no,
came
no,
out my
no, no.
mouth
It's
while you were
that's
talking.
fine.
Yeah.
I love this back and forth anyway. It's awesome.
Okay.
But what I've been talking to many other artists about, and believe me, I found some that just loved their apprenticeships and thought they were great. And even some people who were like, oh, I needed that, to really push me, to break me
Right.
out of my shyness. I mean, there are a variety of opinions, but mostly overall, what I hear and what I hear from newcomers who reach out to me, they're having a hard time. They're upset by the way they're being treated. They don't want to waste all their time.
Right.
And of course, there's this notion that you have to go through this harsh thing, to be earned the right to pick up a machine and all of that. I've pretty much kind of eliminated that out of what I'm doing here completely. And I
Right.
see it working. So it's not like I'm just making up these ideas. I'm watching for the last 8+ years, fantastic artists come through the school and get out there and have a career and enjoy it and love it and improve and grow and, all of that.
Right. They start off with a decent beginning, and it's going to carry them on through. And when you talk about artists, like when they have like this such an art background, they come in, I see that in these fake skins these guys send in to me. I have them send in fake, if you want to send your fake skin in, you can send it to me. We look at them, we just kind of show them
Nice.
on the thing. But the past few, I mean, there's got people like, oh, I've watched your videos in 4 weeks, and I'm like, Jesus, 4 weeks. I mean, it's like,
Exactly.
holy cow, I can tell you have an artistic background. I get that, but wow, I didn't see that happening for me. I have an artistic background, but I feel like there just wasn't the information on the internet to
True.
make this stuff happen so quick.
Absolutely.
And I think so when you have that background and then they come to somebody like you, who's like, we're going to teach you everything you need to know right here, And so they learn those basics, and then they can just go
They
wild. And it's so
fly.
quick. And it's like, holy cow. All right, well, yeah.
That's so
yeah.
true. I've been so surprised. So like I said, I've been teaching for over 8 years. Of course, in the beginning it was a little different. We didn't, didn't put quite as much of an emphasis on the art skills. But then once we really started putting an emphasis on we want you to have art skills before you come here, that just improved everything. And I watch these, my gosh, some of them are so amazing after just 4 or 5 months.
Right.
In the way they're able to tattoo. And like you said, I mean, of course, I struggled in the beginning too. And I was more of a painter than a drawer. I've never
Right.
found a good word for drawer. What is
It,
that?
I don't even know if
What
it
is
doesn't
that
even
word?
sound like a word, right? Drawer. I'm a
Drawer.
drawer, a professional drawer.
Yes, I draw. Anyways, so I wasn't that great at drawing either. So I really had to bump those skills up, and it took me a while, you
Right.
know. I'd always been doing art things, but that, you know, it's a whole different skill learning how. But anyway, so I'm just so amazed at how fast they're learning, and they teach me so much. Me, you know,
That's a
being
great
being a
point.
teacher is like I learned so much from them, which is amazing. I love that.
And that's
But
true. That's the same thing. Like here, like um, when you want to teach something, and I'm sure obviously you've been teaching for years. I'm preaching to the choir here, but nonetheless, I find for myself that when you try to figure out how to show somebody something,
yeah,
you actually break it down to a point where you find a consistency in what you're doing. Where before you do something, you wouldn't know why, but then when you have to go show somebody how you do that, it almost creates a process for you. And therefore I feel like I'm learning when I'm trying to break what little I know down for, to help others. So I can only imagine being there that's happening a lot, or you're literally seeing other people
yeah.
do things that are
And
different.
it's funny because in the beginning, you know, when I first started, it was like, oh, I want this curriculum to be so good. And I packed so much stuff into it, you know, but over the years, it's like, nope, they don't really need that. Nope, they don't really need that. What do they really need? And then, you know, coming up
Focus.
with, yeah, to really focus on what they really need and not a bunch of superfluous art projects and whatever, but like
Right.
to learn how to tattoo, here's what you do, you know? So, excuse me. It's been quite a process, and that's what, you know, led me teaching for those years and trying to come up with a really good curriculum is what actually led me to write the book, because I personally was, there's nothing out there. The best thing I ever, you know, read was Guy Aitchison's book, which is
Oof.
amazing, Reinventing
Yeah.
the Tattoo. It's awesome,
Yeah.
but it was really written for people who were already tattooing. It was written for
It's
people
true.
who already know what they're doing mostly. I totally respect everything he's doing, and he's been a pioneer, obviously, in changing how people can be trained and stuff. But
Still
there
is.
wasn't
Yeah.
really anything like a textbook at all. There was nothing that just laid out the basics. And, you know, working with students over the years gave me the ability to see what was important and what wasn't for, you know, for a basic fundamental education. So
Right.
that's where I got.
Could you tell us the name of that textbook? That way, people watching, because it's amazing that somebody wrote a textbook for tattooing. And I mean that when I heard about it, I was like, no way. Somebody wrote, wow, that, like, I don't know, to me, in the looking for answers and the journey of learning to tattoo, and there's a book out there.
Isn't
So
that crazy?
yeah, I know. And then you were showing it in this video, and I was like, holy God, that is a textbook. Okay.
I need to
Anyhow,
send you a copy, apparently.
what is
I should have done that already.
oh, it's fine.
Yeah, it took me 5 years to put it together, and you know, it was a ton of work because it's also illustrations and graphics and everything and photographs and everything in it too, which takes, you know, forever to figure out what you're going to put together.
Oh my.
But yeah, even through the process of doing that, I felt the same way. I was like, why isn't there a book?
Right.
Why isn't there a book? And of course, okay, it's called the Tattoo Textbook. Easy to remember.
Perfect. Perfect.
The tattoo textbook,
Tattoo
easy. The only
textbook.
one of its kind.
Where can I find that at, though?
Amazon, yeah.
Amazon. Okay.
You can get Amazon, Google Reads, whatever, lots of places, but mostly everybody shops on Amazon for books
True
anyway.
story.
But I remember thinking, man, I wish I would have had something like this when I first started out too. And of course, I've already gotten lots of mean comments and people going on Amazon writing 1-star reviews and saying that it's a scam and saying blah blah blah. Lots of mean stuff.
Of course.
Pretty harsh, a lot of it, but a lot of it comes from people who haven't even looked at it. So they don't know that within like the first few pages, I say, I do not recommend tattooing without a mentor.
Right.
You know, and whether or not that's an online mentor or not, still somebody who can help you.
Right.
You know, and so the main beef with it was, you're just teaching people how to scratch and you're going to cause all these problems, whatever. No, dude, the beginning part of the book is about safety, sanitation, and skin diseases and all of that, right? That's
right.
like, start here before you even pick up a needle, right? So it was weird. But I've also gotten tons of really awesome feedback from people who've bought it and said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Everybody shut me out. Nobody will tell me how, you know. You
Right.
know how it is in many states. It's that way where it's like, I know for a fact that more than 50% of the states have no regulation other
Mm-hmm.
than you can't tattoo someone under 18, but like literally not much. There's about 4 states that require tattoo school, and then there's a lot of states that do require you to have some sort of apprenticeship, but there's no regulation on what that means. And that
Right.
again puts it back on that person to decide what it means when you have to apprentice for them, right? Which leaves
Exactly.
it complete. And this is a larger conversation, but I had a guy who bought my book and reach out to me. He's a professor in the UK at a university. He's also an artist, and he also coaches or his program that he works in is coaching and mentoring. And when he saw my book, he was like, "This is fantastic. I've been looking for something like this. There's nothing, there where he lived. There's no regulation.
Mm.
They have suggestions. They have people that do inspect facilities and things like that, but." He actually said in the UK where he's at, they're starting to make apprenticeship degree programs. And so he reached out to me to discuss the possibility of working together to kind of figure this out and maybe bring it to the US
Wow.
too. And I was like, what? That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about it, and he'd been around because he was so interested in tattooing. He wrote like his thesis about tattooing, just like a whole bunch of stuff. And he was just like, I went, and he's 50 something. I can't remember how old he was, but he was like, people just kept rejecting me. They just kept saying, no, you're too old. You're too old. Right. Which
I
is
don't
another
understand
thing.
that. I don't.
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
The
because
age for
yeah,
tattooing. Okay. Yeah. You missed your mark, buddy. Just a couple years
yeah,
shy. It was
sorry.
49 was the cutoff.
We're shutting you out,
Yeah.
which bugs the hell out of me because who is to say someone who's 60, 70 couldn't pick up a paintbrush and start painting? I mean, it's just another art form.
That's true. That's
It's
very true.
totally, what is the word? I don't know. It's just wrong to shut somebody out for that reason. And that's also one of the reasons that I did the Tattoo Sisterhood Telesummit that I just finished a little bit
Yes. Tell
ago.
us about that if you could.
Sure. So I interviewed 25 artists, tattooers, and entrepreneurs, two entrepreneurs, and everybody else was a tattoo artist.
Nice.
And I reached out to over 300 people, so
Wow.
a ton of emails and a ton of bad feedback too. But
I
whatever.
can
And then
imagine.
I found the really awesome ones, including Jake Meeks, who's one of
He's
like my
awesome.
favorites.
Yes.
He came on too, and reaching out to people and really starting to realize how many people have been in the position of having an apprenticeship and having to do what the mentor said, or having to follow, or being rejected from a mentorship, from an apprenticeship because too fat, too old, too black, too whatever, people of color, or their gender,
Right.
queer or something,
They're
whatever
always
reason, stupid
right.
reasons.
Right. Right. It's not about tattooing at that point. It's not about anything at that
Absolutely
point.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can take that out of the mix and take the biases out and and that's the thing. I thought it was the craziest thing. The first time somebody asked me, they said in a comment, like, hey, I'm 38. Is it too old to get in tattooing? I thought they were kidding. Like, I thought it was just
Oh,
somebody,
wow.
but no, I've gotten it several times at different age points. And I just tell them, no, you're good. Go start now. It's, you can never, I don't think there's an age cutoff. And, I just wanted to touch on that real quick because I was thinking
Yeah.
about that and I thought it was important to the people who are listening because they've asked a lot of times and the age is just not a big deal. But I'm
Well,
sorry.
if you consider though that's again 50% of the United States unregulated and many other countries unregulated. I know New Zealand has like no regulation at all. Considering people trying to go out and get an apprenticeship and being rejected constantly, then it's no wonder that sentiment is out there.
Right.
Because if
Right.
you're, and I'm not to be, and I love men, I have 2 awesome sons and whatever, but there is a toxic masculine
Right.
thing in the industry that, that they're the boss, they're the higher up, they're whatever, and they get to make the decisions. And if they decide not to take you because you're not a young, beautiful woman or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
that stinks.
Yeah. You're
Yes.
pretty much
You can tell I'm
screwed.
a little fired up about this subject for sure.
And I think you have reason to be though.
Yeah.
This started as that whole biker mentality kind of thing, and it's things always seem to take longer than they should, and every
To
aspect
change.
of life. You're right. So I think we're getting there though. I think people
Yeah.
like you and just giving people another option when it
Yes.
comes to learning to tattoo,
And people
I
like
think is
you
important.
too, and Jake, and other people that are starting to make really quality, instructional videos. Which, of course, a lot of people say it's stupid, don't do it. But
Yeah, yeah,
let's get
because
over it.
there's so many wrong ways to do things. There's so many right ways to do things that um, it is really hard to explain, especially online, how to do this kind of thing. So I still believe in apprenticeship, a good apprenticeship, or I guess in the case where you have to go to, you have to go to
Or
school, a good
school,
school.
yeah.
I'm sure there's bad schools too.
Oh yeah, there are.
Um,
Even still here in Oregon, there are some bad ones.
and a question about the school, real quick.
Yeah.
Is that ran out of your shop?
Yes.
Oh, that is cool. So they're right there in the shop,
Right
the whole
there.
thing. Okay, okay. I picture it. I've been to a few other like not non-tattooing schools, and it felt like we were in a warehouse. So I wasn't sure how they were
Yeah.
doing that there. Or okay, it's right in the shop, so they get that feeling. Anyhow, I will get back to the sisterhood you were talking about. So 12 people said
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Is that what you're saying?
25 people.
25, 25.
And the reason I called it Tattoo Sisterhood, I ruminated on that for a while, but I just feel like it would, judging by everybody that I was talking to and stuff, there is room for more women to be, more celebrated, I guess, and really raise the voices of women in this industry.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's the tattoo or Me Too tattoo movement, and that's another issue that's,
Right. I
want to get
think that
into,
would.
but yeah. And so what I really wanted to do was give people a voice to say, here's how I started. Here's what I think worked. What I think didn't work. How can I be a better tattoo mentor as well? You
Right.
know, and that's something that I'm working on now more. Is I made a bunch of notes while I was doing all of this stuff. And I think I want to write a little book about how to be a good tattoo mentor,
Wow, that would be
because there's
cool.
just nothing out there like that. And this guy in the UK that and I were talking, and he was like, that would be awesome. And I would love to help you with that. So
Wow.
that would be cool, because he's a researcher and writes, fancy words that I don't
Right.
have.
Right.
So
Right.
that's cool, to work with him. But anyway, it was for me. Before I did that, a couple of years ago, I got cyberbullied because I own a tattoo school,
Okay.
and I had and there and it was bad. It was
I can
like all of a
imagine.
sudden overnight, just every social media was just slammed with mean comments, and my Facebook rating went from like 4 to 1 like overnight, and it was bad.
Whoa.
And they
Whoa.
also went on some of my students' Facebooks and social media and started saying stuff to them too. And it was like this weird mob mentality, and they were so proud of it. It was very strange.
Right. Right.
But it was all people that didn't live in Oregon. It was like no one who'd ever been in my shop or anything. It was just this mean people that decided
Wow.
they were going to bully me.
They found you and
So
you were the one,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. And
Wow.
so anyway, that sucked. But I tried not to take it personally, but it was hard. Then I made a funny video. Instead, I didn't respond to any of them. I didn't post
That's the
back, although my
best thing
my
to do.
clients did. A few of them were like, "You don't know her," blah, blah,
Right.
which
It's
was
like,
cool.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the support, but I know
Right.
it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. I
They're
don't
not
even
going to change their
entertain. I don't
minds.
entertain the negativity. I really don't. It sounds like you're very much the same way. If you do, it's just gonna bring you down. There's no
Yeah.
point in it.
Do
Just
you get mean comments too, or
oh,
did you in the beginning?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I still do. I still do all the time. And it can make you second guess what you're doing, but at the end of the day, there's so much more positivity out there. I read the good comments, and that reminds me to tell the other ones to just F off, because there's going to be that 10%, that 1% that are just going to hate no matter what. And some
Yes.
people aren't wrong when they hate me for what they hate me for, but I'm still not going to give in to the negativity, because this is
Yes.
my journey, my process.
Absolutely. And that's
And
exactly what I say to myself, Dave, all the
yeah,
time. And if I ever have doubts or whatever, I mean, I do, of course, when I'm doing something new, and even just it's weird, like the slight embarrassment that I have a tattoo book for sale,
yep,
because
yeah,
because there's just so much of that out there. But it's like I
yeah,
have to just get rid of that and be proud of what I created, and it's awesome. But anyway, I made a video, and it's on YouTube. For all those haters, I just made a funny video out of it instead, because I was
nice,
like, I can't,
right,
I don't know what to do with this. And then of course, then once the textbook was out there again, I started getting a bunch more people coming in. But the cool thing is, it's also lovely, lovely people too that are saying thank you so much.
Right.
I just didn't even know what to do, or I was rejected in so many places, or people treat you like you're scum if you're trying to
Mm,
learn how to tattoo at home.
they do.
Heck, how many of us started that way? How many
Right.
amazing tattooers, world
Mm-hmm.
renowned, started
Mm-hmm.
in their kitchen or their laundry room or something,
Right. But for some reason, something happens along the way, and now it is no longer acceptable.
Yes.
I think that's what happens, or maybe even that person doesn't really care to share their story because it doesn't even align with what is right. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have an apprenticeship. I did learn at home, and I did turn out to be this. I'm not talking about myself. Obviously, somebody who's who's up there, right? Like I'm
Right,
I'm
right.
picturing them talking, and yeah, but they're not going to maybe later on openly just go out there and admit that I learned from home and it actually worked out. But the truth probably is they learned from home, they had to work their tail off, and they realized how hard this actually is to take
Yes.
serious. And so they're probably out there saying get a mentorship or get an apprenticeship. And that's
Right.
kind of what I would say too. But at the same time, if you can, if you're out there where they don't even deliver mail, we can,
Right.
you have an option, and I want to help you, because I think if someone has a mission, a dream, an idea, they want to pursue it. And I think a big common thing people say a lot of times too is that they're going to lose their clientele. There's going to be too many people out there. But really, I think the number of people that are going to, it's like a sift. Everybody wants to learn anything in life, and we
Yeah.
sift through, at the end of the day, out of all those people, there's just a few that are actually going to be a competition to
Yeah.
you in the real
I
world.
think so too.
I don't think we're creating thousands of just
And I've heard that a lot too, like, oh, school, you're just churning out people, whatever. No. And sure, there probably are some bad schools that are just churning people out, whatever, for the
Mhm.
money. I know. But it's that's not what I'm about. It's not what a
Right.
lot of people are about. And I also agree with you that if somebody is really dedicated to this career, they're going to make it work no matter what. They're going to attract their clientele. And I always
Mhm.
kind of feel like if the people are reaching out with so much hatred and stuff, it's like, really, you don't have anything better to do. Why don't you focus on your own art and,
Right. Right.
get better and don't worry so much. Why are they so worried? It seems like, for me, it seems like it helps raise everybody up
I think
if
so
we're
too.
all supporting each other and helping each other.
Right. Everybody gets a little better. Everybody complains they don't want to have crap work out there. Well, okay, we'll show people how to do some. So if it's crap, less crappy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, education. I think educating in any way, shape, or form, or helping, or showing, or donating time, or anything like that. I mean, you're not going to get anything negative out of that unless you're
And you're
teaching
not,
people.
yeah, you're not hurting people. I
Right.
mean,
Right. What?
obviously, the biggest thing that makes this different is the safety factor,
Yes.
the risks.
Sanitary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Right.
now, as I think Jake might have been the one that said this, there's no reason that people aren't going to know that, because it's everywhere now. It's all over
Right.
YouTube. Now there's a book. Now I wrote a book. There's a book that tells you.
Exactly.
Guy Aitchison has his whole online
Mm,
program, subscription program. There's a lot of other workshops online. At this point, there's no reason for people to tattoo unsafely really anymore, because they can get the information off the internet,
exactly. And things, I remember talking to, actually, you speak of Jake, I remember talking to Jake, and he learned from home too, obviously, but I think for him, time was different though. They needed we have disposable pretty much everything right now,
Yeah.
where he didn't. He needed the autoclave, he needed to certain things, so even more work back then. But now, even if you're starting today, they make it a lot easier to be more sanitary, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
um, so through the stuff that's online, those courses and whatnot, you can stay sanitary at home. It is doable, but people are not necessarily going to encourage people to do it. But it
Right.
can be done, with the information's out there. It's like you said. I think we should, as a tattoo community, get past it a little bit. Focus our
Yeah.
efforts somewhere else other than trying to stop what's happening.
Well, one of the things that I did talk to Jake about too, um, was it would be really, really cool to curate, some of this information for people, so that it's like, hey, if you want to learn this, this, and this, Go to David, art something. Go to Jake over here and learn this. Go to Guy over
Right.
here. Go to Shelly and get your book for when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Absolutely.
I think it's great. And then honestly, if people can't find, well, usually people, even if it's not a school or an official apprenticeship, people can still find a tattooer who's willing to teach them. If they're like, hey, I did this, I read this, here's my fake skins, here's where I'm at, show me
Right.
some things, then even just another tattooer could be their support person too.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think when you're in that position, it's okay to help out. It's okay to clean shop and do certain things. I think that's the apprenticeship way. You do the work around when you can. Um,
Well,
but
that
this
idea
whole
of an apprenticeship
yeah,
would be lovely if
yeah,
that
if it
actually
existed.
happens.
I think it
Yeah.
is some places though.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah.
And I hate to give it all a bad name for everybody
Yeah.
because I have talked, like you said yourself too, talked to a few people that have had
Had
really good apprenticeships. And
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, wow. So it's not that there never has been, but it seems more prevalent lately to when I'm talking to people and they let me know, hey, I got an apprenticeship here. And then a few months later, you hear them, hey, I did my first tattoo, and they're loving their apprenticeship. It's totally different from the video I had and so it's
Right.
great to hear that there's success out there. So that means people are thinking more of a business mindset. I mean, you bring somebody in, you want them to do the best they can, in a timely manner so that they can make money for themselves and technically make money for you as a shop
Yeah.
owner. And I think people are starting to get smart about it and realize it's a business. It's not a
Yeah.
who's the best looking, who's this, who's that. It's just who can put out the best art, because people don't care what you freaking look like. If you're out
When you're
there,
a tattooer.
if you're making some
So
amazing
true.
artwork, tattoos, they don't care. They will find you.
That's so
So
funny.
yeah,
You're right.
it's
And
true.
it's true. If you do good art, it's whatever. It's like being a singer. And, if you sing
Very
and you're
true.
incredible, who cares if you're overweight or whatever, you're older. If you have this incredible voice, oh, well, that's what
Absolutely.
people want to hear. Yeah, I feel like that is it's good to acknowledge, yes, that there are amazing apprenticeships out there as well. So,
Yeah.
Not to diss, it's literally just education itself, whether it's a school or not, or online or whatever, it all, for me, is important to educate people, right?
Absolutely.
To raise the bar, so to speak.
Yeah.
On.
And like you said, make everybody better along the way. Now, Shelly, you've had a lot of success from obviously yourself getting in tattooing over 15 years, your school, which is it's gotta be so rewarding, and also the book, which I hope people at least go take a look at. So you've had success.
It's been pretty nice. It's been
Where
pretty good,
has
actually.
I guess so? Where have you had any failures that you look back on? And I hate to bring up negative stuff, but I think it's important sometimes for us people to realize that everybody, has pitfalls, has struggles. Was there ever a point where you look back on and you go, what, I really something went bad, but maybe you learned from it,
Oh, Dave,
kind of open question there. I'm sure there's more than one, but
which one should I pick? I was just writing this the other day because my business coach actually said, write your story. You're like, the story that like is a turning point for you. So I was writing this out. So the truth is that I opened my shop, and it was 2006, I think. And then the 2008 recession happened. And so literally in all the business books and classes you take, they say, oh, if you can just hold out for 5 years, things will be great and you'll start to grow. And about the mark of 4 years is when the recession just hit and economy went bottomed out. And here I just opened my shop for a couple of years before that. So I literally was writing about how I was sitting in my cold, sad studio on a November day, and I was like 2 or 3 months behind on the electric bill. I had just bounced another check, and I was literally sitting there going, I started this thing and I don't want to give it up. I'm so happy to be here and do this, but I have to like start looking for a job. I'm not going to make it.
Oh, man, I feel
so
that.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that, what I decided to do was to give up my house and go live with my sister so that I could still keep the studio and continue with my plans. And during that time, my sister had 7 people living in her house, 2 bathrooms.
Wow.
And I lived in the back of the garage in a makeshift room for almost 7 months. So I could save money. So I could sort out like, what am I doing next? And I actually was able to, through a small grant, get a business coach, a person who knew more about business than I do, at that
Nice.
time. Like I didn't
Right.
know, it's just someone I took some classes from and could help me, and to come up with other ways, income streams and that kind of thing. So I thought about teaching classes and, whatever.
Right.
So, and then during that time, I actually was just writing this. I focused so much on positive things. I decided I just wasn't going to let it get me down. Of course, it's embarrassing to freaking live in the back of a garage. Of course,
Understandable.
it was not fun.
Sacrifice.
And my, that Christmas was pretty lousy. And, I was embarrassed. I had 3 grown children, at that time. And
I get it.
it was hard, but I made the decision.
Dang.
And if I hadn't made that decision, I wouldn't even be here where I'm at now,
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
I think that's really,
right?
really cool. But the greatest part of that whole story, the craziest part of the whole story is that you didn't know you were going to be where you are today.
No.
I mean, it was a leap of faith. And I think that's really
Absolutely.
cool that you did that, 3 kids. And I think when you take a leap of faith like that, when you put it all on the line, you can't lose. You refuse to lose. Like, I came here, we're not going back. So,
Yes.
wow. I think
never
that's
give up, never
give up.
surrender. Did you ever see Galaxy Quest? I don't know. Anyway, okay, time to watch it. Anyways,
I'll
never
write it
give up. That
Wow.
is literally my attitude during that time. And I swear I really spent that 6-ish months listening to YouTube videos, all the free stuff,
Right.
YouTube videos of people that were more positive and upbeat than I was, people that were more successful, people who had rags to riches stories. I focused on all of that. And as cheesy as it sounds, affirmations, putting little sticky notes everywhere, really just like not letting that get me down and just continuing. And the drive is creativity. It's just art and creativity and humor. Like, I just wanted my life to continue going in that direction. I didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
I didn't want a real job. You know what I mean?
Right. Like that. And there are people out there who I think just real jobs are just not something. I don't know, because I felt the same way. I was like, I just cannot. I'll do anything. I'll sacrifice anything. I don't want to go do that. I see you got a taste of what this was, and you're like, oh, I want that. I want that. And it was whatever it took to get that. And yeah.
You know what it's like when you
story.
first start business too. I mean,
oh my God,
you have to deal with stuff you never knew. Like, you're awake at night and sleepless nights, whatever. Being an entrepreneur there's a lot of challenges when you first start, but there's so much flexibility and freedom. And if you hang on and you get through it, and the truth is, tattoo artists, whether they work in their own studio or work for somebody else, they're still an independent contractor. They're still their own business.
Oh yeah.
And they still can apply these same ideas.
Absolutely. Right? You don't have to own your own shop to have the same sort of flexibility, but I think it depends on where you work. A lot of times, sometimes, I don't know. I've seen where it's pretty tight. They're there all the time. But I think when you hit a level, like you run your own, fine. If your skill levels to the point where you just say, this is my schedule, you either get with it or I'll go somewhere else, So
well, absolutely.
You are very much a free person. But when it comes to that, I officially opened this shop in the midst of a pandemic, which is horrible. I'm still going through the process. It was, I was just as motivated. Nothing will stop me. There was things that'll stop you still. But we push on.
Yeah.
But totally.
This is definitely the time of all of our lives that is very, very, very challenging, but also weirdly opening up different opportunities too. Right. So who knows? Yeah.
Right. They don't have a lot of people learned how to tattoo during this pandemic.
I
can tell you that much because a lot of people are like, you know what? We had a lot of time on my hands. So I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. That's actually.
So many people have come to me too, like, and actually this is weird. We have a waiting list for the next almost 3 programs because we had so many people come out of the woodwork being, I lost my job. Don't know what I want to do. I'm finally going to get to tattooing and make art my life. So it's very weird, but cool. And in the beginning of the the beginning of the pandemic, I actually, well, we were closed for a couple months too.
Hmm.
So, but I took that time to write a book. I wrote a little children's book about my granddaughter's
No kidding.
chicken themed birthday party. It's crazy.
Nice.
So that was my, so I was like, well, I hardly ever, I can't find the time, to do this, and I'm just going to do it now. So I did it then and published that too. So,
My goodness. Okay.
so that was fun.
What'd you do in your time? I published a book, children's
Yeah,
book.
well,
Um,
but it
that's
was fun.
awesome.
Anyway.
But it is true. A lot of people did take this time to learn a whole bunch of things different. I don't mean to get
Mhm.
off on it. I just was thinking, like, how cool your story was. Like,
Well,
boy,
thank you.
that is, and I don't mean it's cool in a way like, boy, she really suffered, but just
Yeah.
cool in that, like, I love hearing people who put it all on the line. It makes you feel like you're not crazy, and that there's a lot of people who are putting it all on the line to do tattooing, and the reality, okay, the
The
reality of it is
reality.
right, we're just, yeah, I'm not in
You're just
reality.
making up words.
right.
It's okay.
um oh, heck with it, I don't remember what I was even gonna say.
That's okay. It's all good.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, the one thing I was gonna say is and it relates to tattoo school, and I think it might help other people too. Is there a common denominator, a common theme that you see from your students that seems to hold them back, or that thing that seems to be the hardest part, and that is common amongst people? Because
Mhm.
not a lot of people can answer this question, but I think if you've seen enough students over the time, that maybe there is something.
Yeah. Well, probably the number one thing is, of course, being an artist and wanting to be perfect and just not being able to do that when you first start out. You just can't. Even if you're an amazing painter or drawer, whatever, when you transfer to tattooing, it's hard. It's different. It's
Hmm.
challenging. You're a moving canvas and a vibrating machine. There's so much more to it. So, yes, they get down on themselves a lot in the beginning. And then the other thing would be, what I see the most is they don't want to deal with the business side of it. They don't want to deal with the marketing and in general, they just want to do art. And so it's harder because you have to get out there. You
Right.
have to promote yourself. And that kind of goes a little bit along with the weirdness around money and saying that you want money, that you need money, that it's okay to want money. There's some weird thing about, that I hear a lot. It's like, well, it's not about money. It's about the art,
Oh,
well,
right, right, right,
whatever.
right, right. No, and I think I get what they're saying, and I think there was a time when people thought like they were gonna get in. I don't know. That maybe this is just my experience, but they get into this. They think there's just a whole bunch of money waiting at the end, and there might be, because the end is pretty far. But I know for like myself, could have made a lot more money doing other things. So for me, like, it's really not about the money here, even though it is. So I feel like I'm that tool bag that's like, oh, but it is about the art. But I think it's about the journey as a whole, to be
Yeah.
honest. But and it's a really cool one. I feel like a hippie saying that, but it's just like, I feel like it's just this journey that we're on. And I feel like if you're in it and your main goal is like, I want to quit my job and make a bunch of money doing this, because you see people, a lot of famous people doing this. It's a journey. It's a long process. And if that's your goal, your main goal, I think you're gonna be disappointed.
It's going to be hard. Yeah. And
Right,
I'm not
right,
saying, I'm definitely agree with what you're saying too.
right.
I'm just saying that there is a weird thing, like it's almost a dirty word to say you
Mm.
do want to make money. The
Oh,
thing
okay.
is, because you
I
do
misunderstood.
want to make money, because you want to pay your bills, and to buy art supplies and new machines and everything costs money. To take more classes, to do online workshops,
Right.
it all costs money.
That's
And
true.
so I don't feel like it's a bad thing to say, yeah, I absolutely do want money. Not
Yeah.
to be, if you see the people down the road that are making a ton of money in tattooing, sure, that's absolutely cool and awesome for them. Takes a long time to get there. It is a journey, whatever. That's amazing.
Right.
And then of course there are the people who are probably making a lot of money off of having other people work for them, and
It's true.
whatever too, and not cool or not kosher, but that's not in general who it is out there.
Right.
But my thing was just that, like, when my students come through and they're thinking, I'm all about the art. Well, yeah, I'm all about the art too. Like art is huge, and obviously I wanted to be an artist so badly that I gave up so much and
Right.
sacrificed. So that's all there too. But it's actually okay, to say that you would like to have more money, because guess what?
Right.
If you don't have any money, you're not going to be helping anyone else,
It's true.
who's in poverty. It
Right.
does take money to help other people as well. So I don't know. There's something there too to
Absolutely.
explore more.
But I think that's cool that I didn't realize that you guys went into actually explaining how to what essentially sell themselves, right? Like how to get out on social media. Or I'm just guessing that there's things that you're also explaining to them as well beyond
Yeah.
just the process of tattooing.
Yeah. In my book, there's a chapter on business and marketing. Basically, it's not huge. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's so much to that, but yeah, for sure. And encouraging people to get out there and encouraging people to do things. In the old days, it used to be pass out your business cards at fairs and festivals and bars and things, but now it's social media has pretty much taken the place of all of that. But
Right.
you still have to consistently post. You got to
I
get out
hate
there.
it.
I know it's tough.
I
It's
know.
tough.
I
It
hate
is a
it.
tough thing. I hate it too. I've
Yeah.
just started like trying to get on
Me
Instagram, and
too.
it's hard.
Right. I have to think that I don't take pictures, I'm like, oh gosh, I should have took a picture of that, should have took a picture of that, should have took a picture of that. And then I see people take a picture of everything. Like, gosh, I guess I can just take a picture of everything. I mean, how do you post 5 times a day? I post like once a week if I'm
I
lucky,
know. I don't know how
but it's
people
not
do it.
good. I should post more. I just don't ever think to do it. So it's pretty cool that you're bringing that to light at an early point. So you're not, ways down the road trying to make up an
Right.
online portfolio of all your stuff.
Yeah.
So Shelly, the one question everybody wants to know, I'm sure, is what machine do you like to use?
Oh my gosh.
I ask this to everybody. What's their current
Do you?
go-to
How
favorite
funny.
machine? Yeah, it's only been like 3 people, but
Well, I use a Cheyenne Hawk Thunder.
beautiful.
I do. Been using it for a
Beautiful.
while. I used coils for like 8 years, and then I switched to the Cheyenne, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So I would like to experiment with a few more, but that one I just really like. And that's what I have all my students use too, just because it's easier to teach something
Yeah.
that you know pretty well. Right.
Right. And I'm sure they appreciate that as well because they're starting off with a solid machine.
Yeah.
It is a good machine. Okay. Well, Shelly, is there anything you want to share with everybody before we're going to jump off here shortly? Again, do you have a website?
I do. It's just ShellyDax.com, SHELLYDAX.com.
And can they get your book there as well?
You can find it on there too. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under books. I think there's a tab that says books, but yeah, it's also on Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
And
Somebody was asking, they don't have I just glanced over at the comments for like 1 second a little while ago, and somebody asked about the book that they're not buying it off Amazon. A support thing, I guess. Yeah. And they just wanted to see if there's anywhere else they could purchase it. And that's all on your website.
Have them reach out to me directly through my website is totally cool. That's fine too. There are other places, but I just can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Right.
And then I'm on Instagram, Shelly Dax. So trying to build my Instagram too.
You're universal. We can find you mainly.
Oh, you can find
Shelly
me
Dax. Shelly Dax at Shelly Dax. Anywhere Shelly Dax. See, that's brilliant right there. I should have done that. I should just use my freaking name.
Yeah, pretty easy. And and you've inspired me too, and Jake has too, to try to get on YouTube a little bit more. So I'm actually going to, here's a cool thing. I'm going to release all of the interviews that I did on my YouTube channel too, awesome. Like one a week. They are fantastic. They're all about an hour. They're really, really good. So I'm really excited about that too. So if anyone wants, follow, whatever, subscribe, I don't know, follow, subscribe, whatever, all these things, or just hit me up through my website and get on my mailing list, and I can send that information too.
And you're going to start uploading those onto YouTube starting
next week.
Next week. Okay. And you said you have 24 of them?
24. Well, 25, nice. Including me.
And that's, I'm sure if you YouTube Shelly Dax, we should find it then.
Yes. Easy. Right.
Awesome. And Shelly,
this has been so much fun talking to you today. I love it.
It has. It's been really chill because it's been a long day for me. So my memory is like pretty well shot. So it's been great to be able to fall off my notes a lot and just conversate with you, Shelly.
Wing it. I love
exactly. It. Just have an honest conversation. But I thank you for being here, Shelly. I thank you for taking the time, hanging out with us. I would appreciate everybody who's been watching, everybody in the comments over there. I'm did not get a chance to look at those. We were just involved in good old tattoo talk, which has been awesome. So again, if you want to find Shelly Dax at Shelly Dax everywhere. And this is Art Something. If you want to check out the podcast, it's the Art Something Tattoo Podcast. I just run my mouth for 5-10 minutes and I call it a podcast. So if you want to go check that out, that's over there. Also on Instagram at daveinks.88. And that's about it.
Awesome.
Again, thanks,
All
Shelly.
right. Woo!
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And girls.